there. Right, it is 10:03 Pacific time in the morning here on Friday. I am Aunt Pruitt, doing my little Friday morning office hours, if you will. Give folks a few minutes to join in because YouTube is sending out those notifications and all that good stuff. Let's see here. I should probably mute Tilly. Telly. Here. Live stream is up and going. Fixing it. Chat. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and get started. Again, Aunt Pruitt here. Hope y'all doing all right. Freelance content creator at large, just doing what I do. Like to do these on Friday mornings as long as there's participation for people that want to pop in and ask questions, be it something about photography, something about videography, something about just general tech stuff. Well, not all tech stuff, because all tech stuff I don't care about. Just something in the creative space, if you will, or even on the freelance side of things. And yeah, my background music is still playing. I'm gonna turn that off here in a second. But thank you, Mr. Ozone. Good to see you, brother. But yeah, that's what's going on here. Right now, I'm in the middle of trying to fix my monitors. Because if no one was popping in, I was going to work on some social media stuff. All right, so now I will turn the music off. Let's see. We can stop. Yeah. All right, good to see you, Ozone. Hope you're doing all right, man. What I was doing is working on my social media stuff. Not that screen. Don't want that screen. I want this screen because I did volleyball yesterday and I did baseball yesterday. So I need to promote that stuff. Ozone Nightmare says he figured out, what did he say? Figured out OBS. Yeah. OBS is quite all right. Let me see if I can get your chat stuff showing up here. Let's get that back on there like that. There we go. So now, no, I don't see your chat. Oh, did I kill your chat window? Oh, darn. Because I like to give credit when people are in our chat. Don't want that. That's totally the wrong chat window. I wonder why that is. This only happens on Friday, I've noticed. It doesn't do this type of behavior when I do my Thursday podcast. Very interesting. But Ozone Nightmare says in the chat that finally got dual streaming through OBS yesterday. It took some work. Streaming to Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. Tried 3 streams, wasn't having it. Yeah, and what service did you use? Did you use something like Restream? They do a lot of stuff with simulcasting, if you will. And then there was another service called like Yellow Duck. I remember using that before. The problem that I remember with simulcasting is they didn't all talk to the same platforms. You know, they might talk to YouTube and not talk to Twitch, or they might talk to both Twitch and YouTube, or they might talk to Twitch only, or they might talk to just Instagram and not YouTube. That's how it used to be. So it was always a bit of a pain trying to figure that shit out. And I didn't think it was worth the effort when my people are right here on YouTube. You know what I mean? And then I remember it being a bunch of processing and slowing my system down in the middle of the stream. So that screwed up performance too. But yeah, it's pretty weird. Hey, I know who that is. That says Claudia Collins. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing all right. But yeah, if anybody's popping in and you have any questions, feel free to do so. I don't know why I can't get my chat window to show up again. Let me see if I can do like a new chat window or something. So we'll say docs, custom, live chat is there. Good. Apply, close, and then say live chats like this here. And then we'll say add a new joint here, new source, window capture. And we want to call this live chat, make it visible, and we want it to be OBS. That says properties. There we go. So now that should show up on the screen. Yeah, there it is. I don't know why I had to do that twice. It's been doing that on Fridays. I don't know why. Thursdays is just fine. I hit the button and boom, it's there. And I have to reload it on Friday mornings. No idea. Anyway, good to see you, Claudia. Hope y'all doing all right. So in the meantime, I'm going to hop back in here because y'all didn't have any questions. And I'm going to hop back in here and just work on this photograph like so and get it ready for social media posting. And all this is I shot high school baseball yesterday, and I also shot high school volleyball, both at the same school. So that was fun. And shout out to that school. As I get there, the baseball game was first, and I knew there was no way I was going to shoot the full baseball game. But the thing is, folks, when you're doing sports photography just for the sake of press images, you don't have to be there for the whole game. You just need a stockpile of images that could be used for press purposes. So I went to the baseball game first and shot some images there. And then I had to mosey on over to the volleyball court or the gymnasium or what have you. And that school, they were just so freaking great. And I got to tell you, I haven't been treated poorly or anything like that showing up to these ball games. But there's some schools that when I show up and I walk in there and I have that shirt on that basically says I'm here to shoot pictures. Some of them, man, they're just like, oh, we're so glad to have you here. They really, really appreciate, someone there to help put some coverage of their school out there. And it's really cool. But these cats yesterday, Cardinal Newman High School, I didn't even have to walk. They literally said, here, we'll drive you where you need to go. So they threw me on a golf cart with them and drove me around wherever I needed to go. It was, man, red carpet. It was nice. So thank you to Cardinal Newman. But what I do after I get the shots, I have to send them to the publishers at Max Preps. They'll go through and make sure nothing looks weird on them, and then they'll publish them to the Max Prep website profile or what have you. And so what I do is take what I have and put them on my social media just to let the families know, because the families are following me basically on Instagram. I put them on Instagram. Someone following me on Twitter to say, hey, all right, these images are now up. So if you're interested to go look at them, just check the link in the bio. Boom, they're there. But I have started doing more with watermarks because I got to tell you, I should be paid for my work. So I stick watermarks on here. Where is my freaking, there it is. Let's see, we'll do that one there. I put watermarks on them because what I've learned is teenagers will just screenshot this shit and share it and don't even say squat to me or about me, the photographer that shot the thing. And I get they want to share that stuff. That's fine. But you can get these images for as little as $8 freaking. Just download them for $8. It's a smaller version, but it's $8. And that $8 goes to me directly and allows me to buy a freaking Baconator or something if I want for lunch that day. You know what I mean? So I want to watermark them because if you're just going to put them out there and not even give me my credit, you're at least going to have to deal with this watermark on here. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I always try to make it to where they can't try to crop it out, but also I don't want to really take away from the image either. So putting it somewhere like that will work. All right. So chat room is saying, oh, hey, Mr. Richard, good to see you. And Claudia has a question there. So let's pull up that question. Let's see. Question from Miss Claudia. Can you talk about how you adjust for the lighting in the gym? Remember shooting volleyball in the gym and everything came out too yellow. Ooh, that is a, ooh. All right, folks, get your notepads out because there's quite a bit in that. And she made some great points. As a matter of fact, let me pull up my screen because what I shot yesterday, this stuff that I shot yesterday is a good example of what she's talking about. It's not always the case, but it does depend on the location and the facilities and so forth. All right. So let me hit enter here. And we can do that right there. All right. So this image yesterday, this is again, same day, same location, but one's outdoors, one's indoors. All right. As far as shooting indoor, this gym, their colors, as you can see on the screen, their primary colors is this bit of a, I don't know if that's, what color you call that? Burgundy, cardinal, some reddish hue color, and this gold hue. Okay, so that's the school's primary colors. So you have to expect that in the gym. They're going to have that all over the gym, the red seats, this paint on the wall, and all of that. And when you go in there and have your camera set to like auto white balance, I guarantee you that auto white balance is going to screw it up every single time. Because what happens is as you're panning through shooting these athletes and whatnot, as they move around, every now and then they get caught in front of one of the lights that's up above. That changes the white balance for half a second. Then they go down to the floor. That changes the white balance again for half a second. And it screws up everything. So I highly recommend set your white balance on your camera to one setting and leave it. Because when you get into post, you can make that one adjustment and batch adjustment the rest of the way without having to adjust it 50 times or what have you. But ideally, what I like to do is set my camera. I'm not sure how it is on Sony, but I could set up what's called auto white balance, but to focus on white, it'll say W right there, because 9 times out of 10, the athletes that you're shooting, they're gonna have on white. There's gonna be people in the images that have on a white jersey, because you always have a light colored jersey versus a dark colored jersey. That's just how sports goes. So I set it to auto white balance, but focus on white. So the camera is going to start metering, and every time it sees white, it says, all right, I need to change the color temperature. So it'll change the color temperature to from 5,000 Kelvin to 44,000 Kelvin, 4,400 Kelvin, depending on where the athlete is standing. So if I go into this develop module here, like right there, this says, I don't know if you can see the screen. Probably can't. Dang it. Can I move that so y'all can see it a little bit better? Let's see. All right there. All right, so right here on the screen, you got my white balance stuff. And right here it says 3,500. 3,500 is really, really cool when it comes to photography white balance. That tends to make things look more blue. But he doesn't look blue. It's because the camera metered and made the adjustments based on he's wearing this white jersey in this gym that has really shit-tastic lighting and all of these weird colors going on in the background. So if I were to set it to say like daylight temperature, watch what happens. So typical daylight temperature is around 5,500 Kelvin. Now look at that. It's, ugh. It's hideous. Absolutely hideous. And then let's go and look at the picture that's outside. So this picture is outside and I'm in quote daylight. All right. So let's set this to the daylight white balance. It's not as bad out here because it's pretty close to it. But at the same time, it did introduce a little bit more magenta in this image. So you have to keep your eye out on that. Like this magenta is already pushed up to plus 14. But let me just undo, because the white balance was good to go at about, right at about 5,000 Kelvin. His skin looks normal. All of the other colors look normal. And if you look here in the background, this white line on the field, it looks white, you know? So I highly recommend, if you can set your camera to what's called, it's auto white balance, but you want it to look for, in particular in the frame, white. If I had, where's my camera? Hold on. Okay. So I got a camera here, and let's see if this webcam will actually let you see this screen. So I'll point that down. Hit the webcam over here. All right, so, oh, I don't have a battery in here. That's a dead battery. That's a sign of someone that shoots. They have a dead battery. I don't know if you can see it right. It's not focused, but there's a little button right there. And that's my auto white balance. It's not going to focus, but that's my auto white balance. And it's got a little W beside it. And all of the cameras give you the option of setting a particular white balance preference or what have you. But that's what you need to look for if you have that on your camera. And it'll work a whole lot better when you're dealing with changing scenes like that. Now, if you're just doing portraits, set your white balance based on your lighting. Okay. This light right here, this is a white light. So if I were to set the white balance on my camera for a portrait to 5600, it's going to make me look really, really orange. No, I need to set that white balance down to about 4,800, somewhere in that area. And then my skin will look normal. And that varies from light to light. Some lights you can buy on Amazon or where have you. They'll say 120 watts and it'll say a W, or it'll say a B for bicolor, meaning you can go from a warmer temperature to a cooler temperature. So all of that stuff has to be taken into consideration. So now let me go back, not to that screen, not to that screen, that screen. So let's go back over here. But yeah, that's what daylight white balance is. And it is horrible for this particular scenario. But that fixes it. And again, just make sure you have to get all of your colors with the skin squared away. Another thing to consider, I'm going to see if I can find another example. I don't know if it's in this particular library, so hold on. Probably not in this library, but we have to consider it. So let me open recent. We'll go all the way back to, say, January, because I was shooting basketball in January. So give me a second here. All right, Claudia says, yep. I love this. She says, yep, as soon as you set it to 5,400 Kelvin, that's how all my photos in the gym would come out. Yep. Hey, Demancy's in the house. Good to see you, man. Claudia also says, my Canon has auto white balance W like that, and I never knew that. Oh, you're welcome. Good. I'm glad. Good. I'm glad my 2 cents helped someone. Meanwhile, my Lightroom is freezing. Oh, I know why, because I had something else over here. So let me close that too. I'm going to have to come back to that. All right, so there. All right, now Lightroom's back. And let's take a look at some of these other images here. We can take that off the screen now. Let's scroll through. There's a gem in particular right here. This gem. This is Rancho Cotati's gem. This is my son's school. And what I do enjoy about their gym is it's well lit. It's well lit. Not that. Why did I go to that shot? That's got nothing to do with it. Let's try this again. There we go. Their gym is well lit. The problem with their gym, though, is their primary colors are red and blue. And they have so much red on the floor right here. And if you look closely, this red is kicking all the way back up into these guys' faces and skin. And you have to take that into account when it comes to your processing. So look at my white balance on this shot. It's all the way down to damn near 3,000 Kelvin. That's like way off, way off. But it has to be there because otherwise it's going to look like that. And that's with it at 4,400, which is ideally right because his jersey is still white. You know, using that setting on my camera, I still am able to get a white jersey. Even in the background, this person's white shirt is still white. But all of this red here is just bouncing all over this gem, and you have to cool it off. And that gem is the only gem that I have to deal with that. You literally walk in there and all you see is red. Just walking in with your own eyes, all you see is red. And so, of course, with the camera, it's just going to be like, ooh, this is freaking me out. I guess they want to see all of this red, so let me just show all of this red. So take into effect all of the environment when you're shooting. Okay, see, look at that. All of these red seats in here. And it's a cool gym. It's always nicely lit. It's not dark like most gyms are. And there's more of that red on the floor. And these are not selects. All of those are shots that I missed. You know, that one's okay, but it's a little bit out of focus. Yeah, that one's more in focus, but it's still not a select for me that particular day. That's a select for me. And it works out well. because he's not standing around all of that red, so it didn't have to fight as much, but it still was a little bit of a battle. So, yeah. All right. So let me go back to that other image I was working on because I got to get it ready for social medias. Yeah, it looks like I already done this part. Okay, so we're good to go. I got my watermark on here. And then I'm going to crop it for Instagram. Ideally with Instagram, you can crop it in a 4:5 aspect ratio. That's typically what I would do if I'm doing like portraits and stuff. But here recently, since I've been sharing more sports on my Instagram page, I've been doing 1:1. So you either do 4:5 or 1:1. Those are the magic numbers for Instagram. And all of these sites or social media platforms have their own standards, and they are publicly available if you just look at their little FAQ. But 1:1, in my opinion, works so much better for action shots and sports shots. 4:5 is good for portraits. Okay. So I set this to 1:1, and that looks good. And close that. And then I will export it as a JPEG using my good old Command Option Shift W keyboard shortcut. Instagram is going to compress the crap out of it because it's way too big. 4,500 pixels there. That's way too big. Cut it down to about 1,000. All right. And I still set it to high quality. And Instagram will have a little bit more grace for me, because sometimes you could put like a really high quality file in there, upload it to Instagram, you go to post it, and you start to see all the grain and grit and stuff. And that's because they're running compression. So don't put too much in there, but put just enough in there to still make it look good. And then I will export this to my Google Drive folder right here. And it'll be ready on my phone. Now I could do this on the computer, because every now and then I do post to Instagram from the computer. You just go to the website. I don't know. Let me close that window, because y'all may have some private stuff on the screen that y'all don't need to see when it comes. I was on Nightmare giving me a little grief. Android mascot wallpaper on a Mac. Yes, I do have an Android wallpaper on my Mac. I love that little logo. I got that logo, man, I don't know how long ago. It is super old. It's so old. When I got it originally, I was still running Ubuntu Linux as my home primary computer. Yeah, it's a long time ago. All right, so, okay, now I am in Instagram on the page, so I can show this now. There's nothing private up here. Like that. Just hit create, post it, select from the computer. I got a Google Drive folder. There's my drive. What's the directory? Dump, Insta Stories. Boom. There it is. I actually did two. Open them up. So there's that one. Make sure that there's two images here. And there it is. I guess I can move this screen back over. Let me fix this so y'all can see a little better. How's that? Is that better? There we go. Claudia says, remind me of when I had to use a Windows computer for work. So I would put the Apple sticker on the back. Oh, you're like that. Oh, man. Yeah, I know people hated you for that, because people are quite passionate about that stuff. That's hilarious. All right, so I'm in Instagram, and it says crop here, but I don't have to crop it because I already set it to 1:1 square. And I always like to just sort of double check, and it looks fine here. And then I'll take a look at the next image. That looks fine too. And see, again, with that 1:1 crop, I'm able to really fill the frame on Instagram. And I'll just go ahead and tell y'all a secret. Kids and parents, if you're filling the frame with them or the subject or what have you, oh, it tugs after their heartstrings. It just does. So do your best with your focal length and do your best with your cropping and framing to really pull in more sales. That's just the reality of this game. All right, so then I'll just hit next. Don't ever screw with these filters. I don't know one photographer that ever touches these filters. Why? Because our shit's good. We don't need to do this to our images. We've already done that in our regular professional tools. Next, I'll write something here. Let's see. Images from my busy day at Cardinal Newman High, shooting both the baseball game and volleyball game. Wait a minute. Subject verb agreement. I think it's S's. Baseball games. No, both. So baseball game and volleyball game are now available on my Max Preps profile. Hit the link in my bio to download for as little as $8 daggum. Just enough for me to grab a al pastor burrito for lunch. I appreciate you. That's it. Simple, straightforward. I ain't fronting. Look here. I did some work. I'd appreciate you pay for my work so a brother can eat. Just keep it straight up and real. And I try to tag the location, Cardinal Newman High School there in Santa Rosa. Here we go. I don't do the accessibility options. A lot of people get quite upset about that, and I understand why. But most of my images, it's usually described here in the description, so I'll leave it at that. Advanced settings, none. Just hit share. And then I also like to put this stuff on Twitter and Instagram and so forth, so I'll probably just copy it here. Hit share. And hopefully it goes. And boom, it's gone. All right, see, that's not too hard. Okay, and Claudia, oh man, I just realized that thanks to your question. Claudia says, what are your thoughts on hashtags on social posts? I've heard that they are dead, but I also see a lot of people still use them. I got to tell you, I haven't heard that they're dead. And I am grateful for hashtags because it definitely brings in more eyeballs to my work. I can't speak for anybody else, but you can look at the analytics of your social account and it'll let you know that different accounts, or you have a certain level of reach based for whatever post that you put out there. You know, as you can saw, I only have roughly 4,000 followers, but I'll reach 10,000 followers on certain posts and it's all because of hashtags and because of people resharing it and stuff like that. Because people still look for hashtag stuff. Not to mention putting like sports photography on there. We all know that these platforms are algorithmic now. Most of the stuff you see now is from people that you don't even follow. So if I can feed that algorithm some information that, yeah, this is based on photography. Yes, this is based on sports photography. Then dadgummit, I'm going to put it out there. So that's my 2 cents on it. So keep posting those hashtags. That's my opinion. Granted, I don't say put 20 hashtags on there. Make them relevant. You know, YouTube used to really beat you up if you put stuff on there that wasn't relevant to the video. So I'm sort of trained on that in my head. If it ain't relevant, I'm not putting it in there. Oh man, this dude, Joe Esposito, You and your super chats. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. Joe Esposito with the $10 super chat says, enjoy a burrito and probably a very small drink for the end of the week. I'm terrible about tagging anything when I post my work. I appreciate these streams. No, seriously, Joe, put your freaking hashtags on there, dude. Your work is so good. More people need to see it, bro. So put the hashtags on. And thank you for the super chat. And as far as the small drink, you know something? I hardly ever order drinks when I get food out on the go, which is not very often. But when I order fast food, I hardly ever order a drink because I usually have a bottle of water in the car. I try to keep water in my car for not only just staying hydrated, but just for safety concerns. Because I don't know about y'all, but I've had some lemons of cars in my day. And so I have this crazy fear or anxiety or something other. I don't know that if my car breaks down, I'm going to have water. I'm going to have a blanket. There's also a bright colored shirt in the back of my car because, yeah, shit happens. The bright colored shirt, that's a whole other story. That's got nothing to do with, I guess it does have to do with survival. Because I like to go out and shoot with my camera at random sometimes, especially if I'm just like doing street photography or whatever. I want to make sure I am seen. I want to make sure I am visible when I'm out there, because you folks know this day and age, if there is a person walking down the street or walking down a neighborhood or what have you, because yeah, it has happened right here in my own damn neighborhood. People start looking, but now they know, so they're just like, oh yeah, that's it. But see some random person walking down a street in dark clothes with a camera, people get suspicious. I'm like, well, who is that guy? And they start pulling their purses a little bit tighter and stuff like that. And I get it, because that's what society has created. So I put my orange t-shirt on, orange hoodie on. I always have it's usually something orange. Always have that on when I'm out and about, and it's quite visible. So I'm basically saying, I'm not trying to hide. Here I am. So now what are you going to do? And there has been an instance where that was definitely to my benefit, because law enforcement did come out. And you know what law enforcement said? Well, you're clearly not trying to hide anything. So thank you. And now, granted, that was a slightly different scenario. Let me tell you the full story on that. But first, this chat message here. I only drink soda. This is from Ozone Nightmare. I only drink soda when I get food outside the house. Soda. Oh my gosh. You drink soft drinks? I only drink soda. So I always get something. One of the ways I've managed to cut down on sugar is because if that stuff is in the house, yeah, that's the thing. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. I'm glad you recognize that, man. Kudos to you. And a super chat from Claudia. Thank you. Thank you for answering my question and being so generous with your knowledge. It's my pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thanks for the super chats, y'all. The story about the orange shirt. Now, there was one scenario, like I said, where the law enforcement came up, and it was slightly different from me just walking down the street somewhere in a neighborhood or in a town somewhere. Slightly different from that. I happened to be at the Charlotte Douglas Airport. My homie, Mr. Demancey here, also known as Doss to me, he was here in the chat a second ago. He's been out there with me too, but I would go to the Charlotte Airport, I don't know, 2-3 times a week, because it's just so freaking peaceful to sit out there and watch the airplanes and take photographs of the airplanes. And I've taken so many photographs of airplanes that nobody ever saw, but it's just peaceful for me. And so one day I went there. They have a couple different locations. You have the parking deck, and then they used to, before they closed it down, they used to have this little part, and they just basically an overlook part right next to runway. I think it's 36 right next to that runway. Beautiful spot, beautiful spot to be able to get really great shots of the planes going by, especially if you have a telephoto lens. But this day, I decided to go up on the parking deck. And this day, I also decided to bring a tripod because I wanted to capture some time-lapse stuff. So I put my tripod up, put the camera there on the tripod, let it do its thing, had my other camera out, and just started shooting some other stuff that was around me. Well, the tower saw me up on the parking deck with these cameras apparently and thought it was a bit suspicious. And I didn't think anything about it, but I sat there. I was up there for a good hour, and I guess they was like, okay, this cat just ain't going nowhere, so we need to check on him. So they sent the police out there, and the police rolled up. And when the police officer got out of the car, I remember the look on his face. The police officer's face was like, like he was so annoyed. But he wasn't annoyed with me. Because I think the police officer has protocols and was like, look, what do you see? What are they doing? They probably asked all of these questions to make sure they didn't have to waste their time to come up there to check on a nothing burger, because that's pretty much what I was a nothing burger. So he gets out the car, he's rolling his eyes, and he's quite polite to me and asks how I was doing. And then he asked what I was doing. And I told him I'm just taking photos and taking time lapse or what have you. And he said, yeah, they sent me up here because they didn't know what you were doing up there with this camera and thought you might have been planning something, or I think that's what he said, planning something like that. And they told me what you were wearing because they could see, because in the tower, they use binoculars up in the flight tower. They use binoculars so they could see me clearly. So they told him that I was wearing an orange shirt and sunglasses, which is, if you've seen me out in public, that's typically how it goes. And he said, well, he's not trying to hide. So what's the problem here? And I said, well, sir, yeah, I'm not up here to do anything nefarious. I'm just a photographer, and I always wear orange shirts because I want to make sure I am visible to everybody. It's like, oh, okay. And he said, thank you, sir. Shook my hand, and he drove off. So that's one story of the orange shirt. Another story of the orange shirt is back where I used to live, there was a nature trail near my house, about a quarter of a mile from my house. And it had a river and all that. It's just beautiful. I've gone down there to shoot photos a gazillion times. Actually, one of my most popularly sold photo prints is a shot from that location. I could show you here on the screen. Is a shot from that location right there. That shot was from that river. And I would go down there and I would have my orange hoodie on and whatnot. And there would always be some people walking the trail. And typically is a lot of white ladies jogging on the trail. And so I'd see them coming. And a lot of times I would just wave like that. Just a quick gesture that says, I see you, you should see me, kind of thing. And then I would continue walking in the same direction as they're coming. And, I've seen and read too many scenarios of women being attacked or women alleging to have been attacked. I just didn't want myself to be one of those stories. And that helps diffuse that scenario in most instances. A lot of times they just smile and come on by and just keep jogging and doing their thing. Every now and then they smile and they come up and they stop and they ask questions and, ooh, what are you shooting? Blah, blah, blah. And I give them a card and, that kind of thing. So it's all about safety for me, basically. Okay, enough of me babbling. Any other questions in here in the chat? It's good to see all of you here. Also, while I'm in here, let me do one quick thank you real quick. I have a Patreon page, and I want to say thank you again. I already thanked these folks on the podcast the other day. That's already gone up. Thank you to Matt Buon. I don't know how to say your name, Matt. Mr. Matt B. Thank you to Alvin Pruitt. Thank you to Joe Esposito. Thank you to Dr. Drew. Thank you to Tanya Wyman. Thank you to Finn. Thank you to Jeffrey Maricini. Fine folks at Patreon. Really do appreciate y'all. All right. Now, what is this weird thing? It says, let's celebrate their third super on our live stream. I'm not sure what this means, but let me see if I can pull this up, because apparently this is for you, Miss Claudia. So if I click on that, I don't know what that is. So I'm not going to put you in timeout. I'm not going to remove you. Not going to report you. Okay. Not sure what that's all about, but I'm just going to carry on and power on through. Got about 10 minutes left here in this hour. Thank you all again for being here. Did you check out the podcast yet? At Pruitt.com/podcast. Everyday people doing everyday shit. Had a late start, but we explained why we had a late start, and we'll probably continue to have a late start for the foreseeable future, because it's some everyday life stuff. It's a good time hanging out with Queen Pruitt and just letting her vent and say whatever's on her brain, because quite frankly, that's who everybody wants to hear from, apparently, and I'm fine with that. Chat pops up here from Mr. Esposito. I have a similar approach at my job. I work around a lot of younger folks, and especially with younger women, and I make sure I try to project that I am just a harmless dope. Keeps them safe, keeps me safe. Yeah, real talk. Real talk. Because you never know. I mean, we can always assume that people have the best intentions, but there's been way too many stories of someone just fabricating these weird scenarios of threats, you know. Just as there's been a shit ton of threats out there and people being malicious to bystanders and whatnot, but I don't know. I just got to protect myself. You know, my mom years and years ago really brought it to my attention when I went to New York for the very first time for a visit to go visit my buddy, Dan Patterson. Some of you may know Dan Patterson. Went to go visit him for the first time. And my mom, she was just she wasn't like overly paranoid, but she really sort of stressed to me that, hey, be careful when you're walking around out there, because people are going to want to try you. And I never thought about it like that. And she was 100% right, because that is the nature of the people where we're from. They see someone that's 6'2", 200 plus pounds. They think, oh, look at this son of a bitch. I bet he ain't worth a shit. And they will come up and just try to provoke you and be the tough guy and thinking you're a tough guy and just weird stuff like that. And she was 100% right. That where we're from, that was the norm. And I'd totally forgotten about that. And going to New York, she thought that would have been amplified. Fortunately, none of that happened. There was one weird instance, though. I remember coming out of the airport and waiting on the cab line. Actually, I was looking for the cab line, so I'm sort of walking through. And the airport attendee there, he's like, "You looking for a cab?" And I said, "Yeah." And I'm just sort of looking for signs. You know, I didn't really need him, but I appreciate him doing his job. It's like, "You looking for a cab?" And I said, "Yeah." And he just pointed that way. And I was like, "Cool, I appreciate you." And he sort of started walking with me and he said, "Yep, this right there." I said, "Cool, thank you." And right before I stepped away, I just looked at him and nodded like that. And then he just yells, "Queen, son!" Just why did he yell that shit to me? You know, I didn't want to yell into the mic, but he just yelled, "Queen, son!" Real loud, said it with his chest. I have no idea why that happened. I just looked at him and was like, okay. And I kept walking. First off, your little ass, what are you going to do to me? Secondly, why did that matter? But anyway, dude. Oh, man. Mr. Joe, another chat? Dude, you ain't got to do this. Thank you. He says, this is a super chat from Joe. Thank you, brother, man. He says, I've had family members who have been victims of assault, and I've also known many folks wrongly accused. My mindset is to try to make it to next to impossible to get myself into a bad scenario of any kind. Yeah. And Joe, you were with me on a photo walk here in town that was hosted by Pruitt. And, it was just the three of us at the time because nobody showed up for it, but it was the three of us at the time. And, I believe I mentioned some of this stuff to you then. It's like, hey, I'm definitely going to be visible. I'm definitely going to be visible. You hear a lot of street photographers talk about they go out with their camera and they have a 24 millimeter lens, or they have a 50 millimeter lens, because typically those lenses are about yay big on the camera body. Not me, dude. I'm out there with a 70 to 200. I'm out there with a white lens. I want you to see me. I want you to see me. I don't even want you to assume anything beyond that. I want you to know, yep, there's a guy with the camera. Dead serious. And I got to tell you, it's actually worked to my advantage in a lot of scenarios. Because let's say I have a 70 to 200 on and I got the camera up to my face and I'm just sort of framing somebody walking down the street or what have you, or walking towards me up the street. Okay. That's usually how it goes. They're walking towards me up the street, an adult. They see me there, and depending on that person, they'll just sort of nod and then I'll snap the frame, or they'll wink and I'll snap the frame. They're basically saying, hey, I see you. Some of them will smile, they'll pose. And then there's other people, they won't even see me at all and they just keep walking. Or if they do see me, they just totally ignore me and just keep going on about their day. But there's a lot of times I've gotten some really, really fun shots of just people being themselves and just sort of hamming it up just ever so slightly for the camera. Let me see. Do I have any of those on my site? Let's see. I've probably removed them because I changed my site up. This one. Yeah, let me show you this screen. This shot right here. That right there. Again, this was with it might have been an old, I think this is with my crop sensor. I think Canon T5i. And I think that was with like a 200 mil lens. And I was at the bus stop in Charlotte. And this is still by far one of my most favorite shots. Because I was at the bus stop in the middle of the day, downtown Charlotte. And this lady was walking around with the child. I don't know if she was waiting on someone. I don't know if she was waiting on the bus, but she was just at the bus stop in the middle of the day. You can see how the sunlight is. It's really, really harsh light out there, so it's bright. But she was just sort of, content and cool, and saw me off in the distance, and she just sort of nodded and smiled. And I just nodded and smiled because, again, I saw just, the fact that she's carrying this baby, and she was so content, and this child was just so content. And when she posed just right, I hit that shutter and got this shot. And just, that's definitely one of my favorites of all time. And that's just street photography. Good old street photography. I love it. Claudia says, yeah, I try to make sure people see me when I'm shooting on the street because I wouldn't want someone to get a photo of me without my knowledge. Yeah, that's the thing. Now, Ozone's got to go, got to take off. Have a great weekend, my friend. Looking forward to hearing the latest podcast episode tomorrow. Thank you. Take care, Joe. Claudia, let's talk about that because that is a touchy subject. Getting a photograph without your knowledge. Unfortunately, in most public places, your photograph is going to be taken without your knowledge because it's public place and photographers are protected by those laws because it's a public place. And it varies from state to state, but most of the time, if it's a public area, not indoors, public area, outdoors, it's free for all. And what you're saying is you don't want someone to take it without your knowledge. I like that because you're sending a message to the universe that, hey, let us all try to be more aware of other folks' privacy and respect their privacy. And if they don't want their photo, let them know that, yeah, I'm here with a camera, and they'll probably be like, no, don't take my photo. And you as a photographer, you won't take their photo, even though you have every legal right to do so. So I totally get that. For me, my mode of operation when it comes to street photography, because it's in public, most of the time, if I'm taking photos of people, of adults or what have you, most of the time it's like a profile, like what I showed there. But every now and then I can't get that profile because they're still painting a picture for me. And so I'm going to get their full face. And children, when that happens, I don't take pictures of children. This one was an exception here. Snap this photograph because I had some verbal cues from her to go ahead and take the photograph. And she got a copy of this photograph because I gave her my card and was in touch and got her a copy of the photograph. But yeah, that I don't take pictures of kids. I try my very best not to. There are going to be some images with kids in my photos. You know, I think there's an example right here. So let's go back to here, enter, click this button. Excuse me. This one here is an example. Child in this photo, but I wanted to make sure the child was not seen, just took the back of their head, you know. And that shot, I think I was in DC somewhere. I think I was in DC. And this is again another one of those instances of I was in this little park and that lady, she saw me. She saw me off in the distance. Actually, when I took this shot, that shot came like way later after the initial time of me seeing her. But she saw me previously out there just sort of sitting around. I did a whole vlog. I actually shot a vlog video about this instance. I should probably find that. And she was very, very kind and just sort of going on about her business and whatnot. And the little boy there and whatnot. It was just good vibes. And I continued doing what I do out there. And it could have been maybe 20 minutes later. I saw her off in the distance and she comes walking again and she just smiles at me and just playing with her little child and whatnot. And that shot right there presented itself. You know, loved it. And Claudia says here in the chat, I love this. She says, exactly. It's less about the legal side and more about just being respectful. Yeah. That's it, folks. That's all we got to do. Spread more love and respect around this dadgum planet. I mean, let me find that video. I'll put that video here in the chat just in case you all are interested in seeing it. Let's see. I think it's like DC Street Photography at Pruitt, DC Street. Boom. There it is. Boy, I tell you, my SEO, damn good. But check out this video. I'll put it here in our chat. Right here. There you have it. And I'll make sure that I link to it here at some point in the rerun of this here live stream. All right. Okie dokie, folks. That is our hour. I hope this has been helpful to everyone that's been popping in. Thank you all for the continued support of me and my endeavors. I've done some pitching this morning, trying to reach out to some people to see if I can work with them and get some stuff rolling for their brand and their company, and so on and so forth. And that's what the rest of the afternoon will be. No, actually, I'm going to chill for a little bit because I'm a little tired. Yesterday was quite a workout for me. So I'm going to chill for a little bit, maybe give the dogs a bath, and then I got to go shoot another baseball game this evening. And I look forward to shooting this particular baseball game because one of the teams in there, they are really supportive. They're like super, super, super supportive of me. Another one of those roll out the red carpet kind of thing whenever I show up. And then they always buy prints. They always buy downloads of these shots. They love their kids. They love my stuff. And I am so grateful because it helps keep me fed, helps keep the family fed. So looking forward to that. That'll be my Friday afternoon. And then hopefully right after that, I'll be home here on the back porch and finally enjoying some daggum sunshine. It's not raining anymore. We're going to have at least 10 plus days of no rain on the forecast. And that's a welcome sign to me. So I'm going to sit on the back porch, have a glass of whiskey, have a cigar, and just be thankful. Yeah, pretty much it. Thank you all again. Check out patreon.com/Aunt Pruitt if you want to support us there. Check out the podcast, auntpruitt.com/podcast. Lots of fun doing that, video and audio versions. If you want prints, go to auntpruitt.com/prints. There's also some jigsaw puzzles of my prints. Go to auntpruitt.com/puzzles. Jigsaw puzzles are pretty fun. And a couple of my jigsaw puzzles are pretty difficult. And I challenge you to check them out and give it a try. All right, everybody. Have a good Friday. Share, like, subscribe. Actually, if you're still in this live stream, hit share and like and subscribe right now so YouTube knows I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with their platform. And we will see you all next time. Create, dominate, take care.